Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, we're going to be learning how to draft this very corset with yoke. It's very simple and it's easy. If that's what you want to learn how to make, keep watching this video till the very end. Let's head straight to it. So firstly, you'll be needing your basic bodice front from your shoulder down to your hip. The reason we need it down to the hip is because this design has that very effect that looks like a basque. So here is me describing my basic bodice front. Of course, my bust line, under bust line, waistline, and your hip line. Those are the basic things that should be here. And for your dart, your basic dart, and your basic waist dart, and of course your side bust dart. So the first thing I'm going to do is to indicate the midpoint of my shoulder. I'm going to have to mark the midpoint of my shoulder. Okay. And now from that very point, I'll go ahead with my ruler and square a line down from that line to meet my bust point. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, do well to subscribe so you can learn proper pattern drafting tutorials to help you create unlimited designs in fashion design. So the next thing we are going to do after doing this one is to contour our underbust. I've always said whenever you hear me talk about contouring, I want a closely fitted look. So of course you want your underbust to snatch, so you have to contour your underbust. And to contour my underbust, I marked 1 inch on both sides of my bust apart measurement, and I'll be connecting it to the bust point like so, and to the waistline like so. So now this is what your pattern should be looking like at this stage. The next thing I'm going to do is to impute my bust circumference. Bust circumference is basically the distance between your bust point to your underbust. And mine is 3 inches, so I'll go ahead to mark 3 inches all the way around. But the cheat code for this, if you have a mathematical set, the compass, you can use the compass to measure 3 inches, pin it down and use your pencil to make a very smooth circle using 3 inches. Alright, a very smooth circle. Pin it down at your bust point, and on that 3 inches mark, you make your circle just like the way we do in mathematics. But here, I do not have a compass. So if you don't have a compass, you can as well follow this trick, okay? 3 inches, you want to take it all the way around. Do not worry if your bust circumference at the center front extends outwards. Do not worry, just keep marking to the point where it's inside the bodies. Just keep marking it to the point where it's inside the bodies. You have nothing to worry about. So I'm taking my time to go through this, and after that I'll go ahead to connect all the points. You want to be very careful with this so you have a perfect circle. Alright, I will advise you get a mathematical set, please. I'll advise you get a mathematical set so you can do this very smoothly and nice. So I'm using my free hand. I'm using a free hand to do this. Once again, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do what to subscribe. Click the bell notification icon so you'll be the very first person to know when I post quality pattern drafting videos like this. Alright, so this is what it looks like. At most the circle is okay, and this is what your pattern should look like at this very stage. So you know that this corset has a sweetheart neckline. Now we are going to try to give it that sweetheart neckline. Basically you can just leave this like this, but it's just going to be so, I don't know, it's going to be so basic. So you're trying to give it another smoother curve or smaller curve, something that is not going to be exposing the breast or the cleavage. The one on the thumbnail, as you can see, is very modest. So you want to give it just a little. So what I did was I went in by ½ an inch, like so, all the way to this point. I went in by ½ an inch. I marked ½ an inch, like so, all the way to this point, just to give it that very look. You want to be very careful with your circle, because whatever you're drafting as your circle is what your corset is going to look like. So this is what we are going to be having at this very particular stage. Now heading down to that Basque effect, alright, heading down to that Basque effect, I'm going to be creating that design right now. That was the reason why I actually made these bodies long to get to the hip area, because of course this is a gown, so you have to be attaching the lower bodies to the upper body. So I have to extend it rather than stopping at the waistline. I extended it to the hip. So from your waistline, you're coming down by 3 inches, right? From your waistline, please, you're coming down by 3 inches. If you use anything more than 3 inches, it's going to look awkward. So you're coming down by 3 inches. Rather than increasing it, you should even reduce it to 2 inches, right? So come down by 3 inches from your waistline. And now from your side seam at the waist, you come down by 2 inches, like so. You're going to be connecting all these together to form a curve. Can you see that? We've connected all these together to form a curve, right? So at this very stage now, I'll go ahead to cut out this lower part. Remember, it's a gown, so of course your lower part should be extended. So this is what you're going to be joining to the upper part of it, right? This is where you're going to be joining to the upper part of it. So having removed that part, we're going to be working on this very part now. So I'm going to be opening my side bust dart like so. And next thing, I'm going to be opening up my shoulder princess seam like so. I'm cutting to the bust point. And of course, when you close up this side bust dart, transferring the excess to the shoulder, you'll be coming up with your shoulder princess seam, right? Now, a princess seam is a combination of 2 darts, so do not get surprised when I say shoulder princess seam. You guys call it shoulder dart, but princess seam is a combination of 2 darts. It's not just when it's at the armhole. You have the shoulder princess seam. Whenever you combine 2 darts together to create a design or whatever, you actually have a princess seam. So this is shoulder princess seam. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to create or remove our yoke, right? Next thing I'm going to do now is to remove the yoke of this very design. I'm trying to be careful so I do not rip my paper off. Can you see that sweetheart neckline effect, the way it's curved in? So we're going to be taping this down because our yoke is going to be in whole and not in part. We're not sewing it up, as you can see the one on the screen. So we're going to be taping this down so it's in a hole, right? And this right here will help that yoke to lap very well on your body. It's not going to gap, like it's going to hug on your body. So the next thing, as you can see, this is what it looks like. The next thing we are going to do is to work on the remaining part of this upper pattern. We are going to be taking out the corset like so. So you remember when I said if your corset actually, your bust circumference is outside as you're marking the circle at your center front, you have nothing to worry about. So rather than cutting this and having that very tiny part at the center front, I'll advise you tape it down, okay? So that when you're cutting on your fabric, you do not make mistake, and also your sewing is going to be a whole lot easier for you. So I advise you tape this down and cut it out in a way that you'll be able to sew it properly on your fabric, in a way that you're going to be having more pattern or more paper at the center, kind of. So I'm going ahead to retrace this like so. I'm going ahead to retrace it to join this very part like so. And also for that very center part that looks awkward, you want to give it a very nice circle shape. So I'm going to be giving that very part, as you can see, you want to smoothen it out to give it a nice circle shape, alright? But not to worry, once you sew it onto your fabric, it's going to come out nice. But make sure you smoothen it out to give it a nice circle shape. I feel like I should smoothen it out more, but then I just left it. While sewing, I will do justice to that. But then it's nothing to take out, just a little, about 0.25 inches, okay? So having done that, we are going to be removing the dart that went into the underbust. Having removed the dart that went into the underbust, you want to smoothen out this very part like so, because you don't want any pointy edge. You want it to come out as natural as possible. So I'm going to be smoothing out this part and using my scissors to take out that pointy edge. Now you'll be joining these two together to form the cup of your corset. And you can also impute an artificial cup. After you've joined your fabric together, you can impute an artificial cup on top of this, alright, to give it a more firm effect. So here I'm trying to tape together to show you guys what it's going to look like. Also, do not forget to use an interface when you are sewing this, right? Even if you're going to be attaching already made cup, make sure you use an interface on it. It's going to give it a very nice and firm look, right? So I'm going ahead now to tape this down like so. The way I'm taking my time to tape it down should be the way you take your time while sewing, because this is the most important part of this design. So you want to take your time while sewing. So yeah, this is what it looks like. So you guys, this is what it looks like, okay? So this is what it looks like. I'm trying to place it to show you. Do not forget that when you're placing it, you should make sure that those parts are matching. You want to mark a notch at the yoke. So let's head straight to this one right now. We're going to be eliminating all the darts, of course. That's just what we are doing here. We're taking out all the darts to give us a very snatched and fitted look. And then this is what we are going to be having. We're going to be snatching, alright. The contour you did at the underbust is going to give you a very snatched look. This is what this whole thing is looking like right now for the front. As you can see, as easy as possible, okay? You want to mark notches so everything aligns, okay? You want to mark notches on your fabric before you, as you're cutting, so that as you're sewing, everything is in alignment. So this is what the front is looking like. We'll set it aside and then we'll go ahead to draft the back design. If you want to see the sleeve tutorial, then leave a comment in the comment section and I will draft the sleeve tutorial. I'll make a tutorial on the sleeve also. So this is the back. And what we're going to do right now is that I'm going to be creating my shoulder dart for the back. It was after I created the shoulder dart that I found out that I actually will not be needing this shoulder dart. But for those of you that do not know how to create a shoulder dart, let's do this. I'll be taking the midpoint of my shoulder and I'll take it all the way down to the bust point. So the length of my dart is 2.5 inches, and on that very midpoint I'll be marking 1/2 inch on both sides to create my dart. I'll be connecting those 1/2 inch lines to the 2.5 inches length like so. So now this is what it looks like, okay? So by the time I realized I will not be needing this, the next thing I did was to go straight to the normal process. I marked 3 inches from the shoulder, and I'm going to be squaring a line across the back like so on that 3 inches that I marked. So on that very 3 inches mark right now, I'm going to be marking my bust apart measurement on that line, which is 3 inches. Now I'm going to be redrawing a new dart. From that 3 inches, I'm going to connect it to the previous dart of the waistline like so on both sides. So this is what it is looking like now. This is what your back should look like, okay? So having done this now, we'll go ahead to impute the necessary style lines for the back. So now for my neckline at the back, I'm going to be having a deep C-cut neckline for the back. From the very neckline that I marked before, 1/2 inch, I also came down further by 5.5, making a total of 6 inches. So I'm going to be connecting it from this point of the shoulder to that 6 inches mark right now. And this is what it looks like, okay? So I'll go ahead and use my scissors and take this out. So for the back yoke, I'm going to be cutting it out from the center, from the chest line, please. I'm going to be cutting the back yoke out from the chest line, which was actually the same thing we did for the front. Your part of your area of concentration for the yoke should be towards the side seam. In fact, your area of concentration for whatever you're doing should be towards the side seam, so the back and the front are aligned. Also, for that very Basque effect, I'm marking 3 inches like we did for the front. And when I get to the side seam, I marked 2 inches. Like I said, your area of concentration, so that everything aligns, should be topmost at the back. So I'm aligning the front to make sure that everything aligns with the back. And of course, the 2 inches I marked is an alignment. Okay. So from there, we are going to be connecting to the 3 inches line at the center back. So now I'm going to be cutting this out. Now we are going to be taking off our darts. If you've watched this video till this very point, I really appreciate you, and I hope you've learned something special, something new, something that you didn't know that this is the way to go about it. Okay, do want to subscribe if you haven't, because I'm going to be bringing more pattern drafting tutorials on this channel, and you do not want to miss it out. You don't want to miss out on any of them. So these are what all the patterns look like: the back and the front. You want to label center front, center back, side, so you do not get confused. Okay, these are what all the patterns look like, right? And here I'm trying to set them to show you guys what they look like. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.